Pleasant good evening, racing fans. Edison Hatter here hosting another live In the Money Media Roundtable. Happy to be sponsored by Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment this Saturday, November 26th. After we get past the American Thanksgiving festivities, we have TVG Finals night, Fall Final Four. We've got 8 major stakes races to discuss, 2 $75,000 guaranteed pick 4 pools, and a lot of other great action on the weekend at the Meadowlands. But first things first, welcome in my group of panelists. First and foremost to my left, we applaud him for joining us while on the commute for the Thanksgiving holiday. Derick Giwner. Derick, thank you for joining us as always.
I'm looking at my avatar. I never look so good.
We have Mike Pribozie to the right there. Now picks. Mike has on his BULLDOG HANOVER hat, it appears.
Right, baby. BULLDOG HANOVER. Final start. We're down for it.
And below me, Garnet Barnsdale coming to us for, I think, at least the second or third roundtable from a hotel room with the Bills gear on, heading to the Bills game tomorrow in Detroit.
That's correct. I'm at Caesars Windsor, and I'm only down $40 so far. But before I start in on Ray, because I'm sure I will at some point, I want to point out to the listeners and the world that this gentleman, Ray Cotolo, is doing an outstanding job of announcing harness racing at Rosecroft. And if you're missing it, you're really missing out. And if you own a racetrack and you're watching this show, hire this guy. He's unbelievably good. There you go, Ray.
You know, Mike Pribozie and I had a fantastic evening last night on the phone as we got to hear not only the Australian call with 200 meters left to go, we got the great Roger impression in the 10th race. Ray Cotolo joins us. Ray, what do we get out of you tonight?
I'm just glad that people listen to my calls. Even though I don't sound like a race caller. But it's nice. In the heart.
You know, I think the highlight of Ray's appearance on this show in particular was actually back in like June when everyone's mics cut out. And it was just like Ray, Mike, and I, and Ray just impersonated Derick, Garnet, and Robert all at the same time.
That was good.
Speaking of Robert, Reid Jr. joins us. Robert, welcome.
Hey, always a pleasure to be here with you fine gentlemen.
All righty. Well, Kevin Plouch has already jumped into the comments, and Ray, he is ready for that freezing cold Ray Cotolo take. So we'll get to that open trot eventually, I do suppose. But first things first, to recap on everything we've got going on this weekend. For the Meadowlands Racing, it is Friday and Saturday night, 6:20 p.m. first post time, Black Friday, and Saturday, November 26th. Friday night, 6:20 p.m. first post time, 14 race card, and there were some really tricky races on there to make a morning line for it, including the non-winners of 3,000 in the pick sequence and a Trackmaster 74 group that I thought was probably the trickiest race of the month at the Meadowlands. They're both in a pick 6 sequence, and it's double carryover time in that pick 6. $32,429 in that pick 6 carryover, $100,000 guaranteed pool. So fantastic racing action on Friday night, and hopefully you can build your bankroll there for Saturday night. Again, we've got 8 races that are championship races for the Fall Final Four. Those are for the 2-year-old horses, the Pacers, the Trotters, the Fillies, the Colts, and everything else in between. And likewise, the 4 TVG final races for the Pacers, the Trotters, the Fillies and Mares, and the Colts and Geldings. So we will get to all 8 of those championship races. Again, we'll also discuss some $75,000 guaranteed pick 4 pools, the early pick 4 races 6 through 9, the late pick 4 races 10 through 13. Championship races are 4 through 11. So the early pick 4 will be all stakes action. Late pick 4 will include 2 overnight events that will include in that pick 4 discussion. And of course, if you are with us in the East Rutherford, New Jersey area this Saturday, come on out and join us. Last major night of racing for some time here until we turn the calendar year. And it is the final events of the Grand Circuit schedule, and it is the retirement ceremonies for the great Atlanta and BULLDOG Hanover. We have some giveaways on track for those that join us, including some Atlanta and BULLDOG Hanover mugs, as well as some BULLDOG Hanover plushes that Dexter Dunn will be throwing out. So a lot of great racing action. So come on out and join us if you're in the area as we go on and begin our discussion here with, well, actually, you know what? Since J.D. Varnell asks us here, you know what? Sure, let's go with it. What were everyone's thoughts on the progress pace a few minutes ago? Let's have a good little vote on Beach Glass versus Pebble Beach on horse, or well, at least for the divisional honors this year. We saw, of course, tonight, Beach Glass, Yannick Gingras for trainer Brent McGrath get the job done in that progress pace off some wicked fractions. Robert, what were your impressions on that race?
I thought Beach Glass was incredibly impressive. We talked about it just before the broadcast. I mean, maybe a bit of an edge to him resting up a little bit, but I thought he was fantastic, and I give the edge to him for the divisional honors.
Ray?
I think you should let the Canadians just get the Canadian opinion out of the way. We already know where they're leaning.
So are you leaning Pebble Beach still, Ray?
Oh, since I'm not Canadian, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a vote, so if I did, I'd probably just look back and see which horse paid $50 for me. I think Forever Boy would be mine because I hit the pick 4 at the Meadows with him. Thanks,
You're
Mike.
welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
I still think we go back to the one that beat both of them in the Adios by the Missile. But Garnet, what do you think?
I'd probably still lean Pebble Beach, winner of the North America Cup and the Breeders' Crown. And I'm concerned. Did you say Dexter Dunn was going to be throwing out mugs? That might be a little dangerous.
No, he's got the plushes, the horse plushes.
I thought you had Dexter Dunn plushes because that'd be great too.
I want a Dexter Dunn plush.
I would want a Dexter Dunn
Turn
plush.
it to voodoo dolls, probably though.
Mike, what are your thoughts on the divisional battle?
Pebble Beach. I think you win a couple of the biggest races. North America Cup. He crushed the Breeders' Crown. Crushed it. It wasn't, and beat by the Missile handily. I feel like he's the one for me. I think he's danced the right ones, and he's probably the best horse. Even though he didn't win this race, I'm okay with that. I don't care.
I don't know, JD. I may also lean Beach Glass. I don't know. Good Meadowlands pace. We saw him now come back after the surgery, take out the progress here. We never did get to see him in the Breeders' Crowns. That's a negative. I don't know. That will be a good battle, which at least it's a discussion because we surely won't have a discussion for Horse of the Year, I don't believe. We'll get to that one later as well. But
why not?
Let's go on and why, Ray? Do you want to nominate AccuRD over?
Like I said, I don't have a vote, so it's not like I should even be in the conversation.
Oh, JD's got the really good answer there. Let's go with Pebble Beach for the Dan Patch and Beach Glass the O'Brien Awards. There we go. Oh, Anthony Francesco III is jumping into the conversation. He's going Pebble Beach. Charles Blackwell, by the way, wants to know, Ray, are you drinking tea or do you have tea or something? Or
no, so I have several beverages tonight. I have regular water, I have coconut water, and then I have hot water. They all serve different purposes.
There you go, Charles. Since I know everyone's my opinion too, it is a can of Coke for me and tea with honey in it because there's a lot of broadcasting to do this weekend, so I may as well get the throat good to go here for the weekend. Nicole Knapp jumping in as well, saying it's a great crew here, and Anthony DeFrancisco jumping in too, saying that a lot of horses don't come back from throat surgery to be successful as it is. We got all sorts of people in here. Dakota Jackson, he's also leaning Forever Boy. Mark Anderson, happy Thanksgiving weekend to everyone. What a great night of racing Saturday night. Indeed it is, Mark, and happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone else tuning in here as well. But gentlemen, let's get to our business here. We will start it off with race 4 on Saturday night. First championship race, race 4. It is the $475,400 Goldsmith made 2-year-old filly trot final. And Ray, you so graciously gave us the explanation on all these races last week on the Meadowlands show. So do you have us for us information on Goldsmith made? You got all the information for us?
Yeah, she was a horse from like the 70s. So that means if you Google her, there's a 20% chance she has a Wikipedia page. That's all it means.
Well, we've got the Goldsmith made here, and Bond is the one that I installed as 8-5 favoritism. She coming off of a victory in that kindergarten final. She's 6 for 8 this year. Hasn't done a whole lot wrong. Outside post to contend with tonight, though, again. Mike, will you lean on her or look elsewhere here?
Yeah, because I think that she's overcome outside posts already. I feel like she's the best horse right now. I feel like she overcame that night. She had the 10-hole. The front end wasn't necessarily the place to be at that point in the night. It did improve as it went on, but as the night went, right then, it was closers dominated. That was an early race. It was the 5th race. She found a way to win, held off Hard on Fire, who I think is the other horse in the race. The rest of the horses just don't impress me. They don't have the class. They don't have the speed. I don't think that it matters. They could start this horse in the parking lot, and she's probably still going to win. So I don't have anything clever here. I think that she's the best, and she'll win.
I don't necessarily agree that was. We were talking about it through that night too.
It was windy that night.
But at the same time, when the horses were closing, like take the Rock Eyed Optimist race to kick everything off. The horse that came from off the speed did so off of what was like a 53.5 in a cheap race. It's logical horses going to close there. There were lots of horses rolling to the half to set up for closers to come in that last quarter. Some horses finished
those races though, so
no, that's not necessarily an indication of bias though.
It's
given this time of year as well. This time of year, when you see those kinds of fractions, you have to weight those kinds of fractions differently in the winter than you do in the summer, for one, and for two, like if anything. The rain it rained the night before, didn't it? So the track was also faster in general. The drivers were kind of they were rolling much faster. I don't think there was a bias. It's tough to justify a bias to me off of that. The thing that's funny about
I think that it wasn't the place to be at that point in the night, and she overcame. That's all I said. I did not say the word bias once.
But the point though is in saying that you're implying that the front wasn't favorable, and to that I disagree. I disagree. It wasn't favorable because they went 53 and 54 to the half every race.
Well, Ray, with all this said, are you going against Bond here then?
Look, I have my eyes on other horses because the one thing that caught my eye in that kindergarten race is that if you guys watch the replay going to the half, Scott Zeron is kind of sitting behind Ock thinking about pulling, and he doesn't decide to pull. Like, he kind of inches the slightest bit off the cones, and that makes Ock panic. And that's what made him circle to the lead and have just barely enough to hold off Hard on Fire. All this to say, I don't know how aggressively she gets driven here. I think that's an important factor in figuring out who stands a good chance. I do have Hard on Fire marked because that horse has rounded a sharp corner in these last couple of starts. At the same time, was aided by the fact that Bond was maybe kind of tired from being raced so aggressively. And I'm not discounting Brunella either. This was a horse I had on my radar back in the Jim Doherty Memorial before she scratched, I think because Giwner mentioned something about her. And, you know, she raced well in Delaware, Ohio. She had one bad race in Lexington. Okay, tightener in the matron at Dover. I'm not throwing her out completely either. I'm keeping her on my radar. And ultimately just kind of watching to see how people are betting this race. Because I feel Bond's going to be a decent favorite here in terms of how strongly she's bet.
Robert?
I think Bond deserves the respect. I think last time, interesting, gangbuster fractions, the horse directly to her inside left out. 2 stablemates, though, to the inside of that one from 7 and 8, both took back. That's obviously going to help her in the early stages there. But, I mean, she held together, in a pretty quick mile. And I thought she's been very impressive. Now, the question for you guys, Mambacita, was she empty, making a tired break? She looked like she was fishing for room. I didn't know what to make of that because at first I thought she was loaded with trot. Then I thought she had nothing. And of course she jumped it off anyway. So that to me was kind of interesting. The horse that I keep coming back to a little bit and speaking to our man, John Rallis too, Wild Jiggy. I bet this horse 2 back, got beat by a neck last time. Dexter done aboard, no chance coming from way out of it. Probably should be able to come from out of it off those fractions for sure, but also had some road trouble. So price won't be as high as last time, no question about that, but that's the horse I'd be looking at if the value is there. Bond, tough to beat. Definitely interested in the 1 Wild Jiggy.
Robert, in the program comments for the Meadowlands this Saturday, I just kind of hedged my bets on Mambacita by saying, not sure she was ever going to threaten Bond, but that break in the kindergarten ruined all chance late. Not really sure either, but she definitely took a lot of money in that spot. She was clearly the one back to beat her, so here's a chance to see a rematch. And Garnet, any love for Mambacita for you? Bond, elsewhere?
Not Mambacita. I'm not going to get jiggy with it either with the 1 horse. Bond to me is the horse. She made 2 moves from the 10 hole and still prevailed, right? And now, so she probably won't have any trouble with the 9 hole. The one I'm going to probably try to create some value with the exactor is the 8 quick stop. There's nothing wrong with her race there from the 9 hole. Moves in 1 slot. Was only a length behind Bond, and Hard on Fire seems to be improving at the right time. And the other thing I noticed about this show is I'm the only guy with 1 name, so I'm kind of like Prince tonight.
It should be noted that everyone types in their own name, so that is your own title there, Garnet. So you were welcome to make it whatever.
And you've been Barnsdale anyway, so it's
I could have. I'm going to put just for you. I'm going to put that in the next show, Ray.
Derick Giwner on the road there driving. Derick, what do you got for us here in the Goldsmith Maid?
I agree with everyone that Bond is clearly the horse to beat. That being said, I want to talk about a different horse in the race, someone that basically is going to be a huge price, and that's Blonde Bombshell. I feel like she's very lightly raced. This is a horse that David Miller stuck with at the beginning when he first had opportunities to drive other horses. She wasn't quite ready for the Breeders' Crown. You saw her pick up a really nice win in the Garden State where she flew home. Listen, there's a lot of questions to be answered as to whether she's fast enough to go with these. I honestly don't know. But what I do know is she's going to be 30 or 40 to 1. And at 30 to 40 to 1, you can't really go wrong taking a shot with a horse. I think Bond is the horse to beat. I'm going to try and beat her. I think this is a really talented field.
It was very interesting on talking on the Meadowlands simulcast feed with Dave Miller last week about not only that win with Blonde Bombshell in the Garden State, but also with his selection to stick with her with only her second and third career starts coming in the Breeders' Crown up there in Canada. So definitely an interesting choice there. For me, nothing too creative. 9-3-5-8. I agree with Heart on Fire seems to be the one maybe underneath the Bond. And, it's got to be the only time in my life I could say it's very interesting that Todd McCarthy is kind of along with this horse really well after Dexter Dunn got off. So that's just a sentence I don't think I get to say very often. But going back to our comments here, we had Zach Johnson jumping in as well, also on Team Beach Class, back to our divisional honors discussion. Kevin Plouch is already jumping in, saying that things are on your radar, Ray, RAY-DAR. You can start using that. John Rallis wants to get jiggy, so I guess he is going with wild jiggy there, and we know he can get plenty of price plays home, so good for him. Zach Jackson jumping in there also saying, Bond is a mortal lock and one can beat her. There you go.
Wow.
Lauren Billets, Madonna only goes by one name. There's probably a lot of others, too, actually, out there, too. Let's see. John Rallis has some other stuff for us. Can't like Blonde Bombshell because her stablemate would have beaten her last time out. Ooh, that's an interesting take there. Lightly raced, a lot of talent for check her out. Like Trier too, but this is a tough spot for her in this group. And Quick Stop's the other one I threw in, by the way, off of that third in the kindergarten is the other number that I discussed that no one else had mentioned yet. JD will go with Bond, and we will go to race 5 next. Race 5 will take us to the Valley Victory Final. That is for the 2-year-old Colt and Gelding Trotters. Ray, Valley Victory, we got any information?
Yeah, back in the late 90s or the mid 90s, it would be the mid early 90s. He was deemed to be the fastest trotter ever to exist and would transform the trotting breed forever. And then he had Muscles Yankee, and then Muscles Yankee had Muscle Hill, and since then, lots of coitus has ensued for the better of the sport.
For who?
Well, of the horses, I guess they got faster. I hit for Muscle Hill, it's great.
The Valley Victory Final for the 2-year-old Colt and Gelding Trotters. The only difficulty in this morning line was which way I wanted to go, Celebrity Bambino or Volume 8. From a handicapping perspective, I know I want Volume 8, but betting standpoint, I don't know. Second in the Breeders' Crown, will they lean to Celebrity Bambino? I suspect Volume 8 will be the slight favorite here, but Garnet, what do you think from a handicapping perspective?
To me, Volume 8's too sharp. It's just coming off a blowout 152 win, flat win in the kindergarten. But man, Celebrity Bambino is pretty good right now too, right? I think you got to maybe try to get a funny horse in underneath them, maybe upstage to closed well last time. I don't have the morning line in front of me. I don't know what upstage morning line is. Could you fill me in on that?
15
to 1. See,
so I might do something like that. Take a couple $10 triactors, 2-9 with 2-9 with 5. It's hard for me to go against the 2 and the 9 really on form. They just look too good. Not much else to really say.
Mike?
I think it's Celebrity Bambino. I like.
Whoa.
I like his class. I don't like Volume 8, and I never have.
But okay, let's go back to the last.
Why do you interrupt everything I say? Get out of here.
This is an important point. You said Bond overcame a place that's not favorable last time. How do you like Volume 8 when he did even better? How do you not like him then? If the front was so unfavorable, shouldn't that be a spectacular race for you?
But I said that the racetrack changed later in the night, and that was race 8. Race 5 was the Bond race. This was 3 races later, Ray.
An eventful 45 minutes that happened to that dirt. So there must have been some kind of combing or something. Who knows what was happening
this
there.
Was 3 to 5.
But I'm purely devil's advocating, I guess, your principle.
Can
I
mentioned last
now,
or you're just going to take over the show?
No, you can finish. I just wanted to hear your take based off what you just said because it's a 180.
No, it isn't.
All right.
Not a bit.
Okay, well,
Volume 8 made a huge move in that race. He wasn't exactly sitting on the front early. He made a big move and blew the race wide open. So how does that have any relevance?
Well, I mean, that's how every other horse was quitting. Because they would go way too fast to the half. He held on going too fast to the half on a track where everyone was going too fast and not holding on.
He held on. He won by 8.5. Wrapped up.
Yes, you're making my point here.
No, I'm
Mike,
not. He was already up by 6 lengths.
Edison, you have to mute Ray.
I know, we need that mute button, Ray.
We need it. Anyway.
Mike, continue.
I don't know. I don't think Volume 8 beat much in that kindergarten final. yes, he's racing well, but Celebrity Bambino has danced the dances. I think that last week was a total prep, and he still found a way to win. I like how he grinded out that win. I like how Kimmerington ran in that race also. I know he got a nice trip, but this horse is getting better. He's only 1 for 10, but I feel like that he is improving. He's drawn perfect. Tetrick's back. I feel like that's the horse that gets the trip at a price.
Now, Mike, when you say Celebrity Bambino, your choice here from a betting perspective, are you assuming he's going to be the favorite or second choice, do you think?
I think second choice for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robert, how do you see this race?
Well, I'm with Ray, and I don't know if he's on volume 8, but I thought volume 8 was very impressive last time. By the way, he looks like Howard Stern, does he? Sitting there, look at him. He's such a...
I can't tell if that's a compliment or an insult.
No, I mean that like you look so professional, like
razor.
you're like the king of all harness racing media or something.
He also thinks he's Howard Stern, which adds to our dismay.
I do not. I would never think I'm Howard Stern.
I mean just for the how famous.
I understand.
I need that chair though. That chair looks spectacular. That
really,
you got
it's only
there.
half comfortable.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my problem. I need a better chair. But back to volume 8. I can't go against that horse after the last performance. The thing for me with Celebrity Bambino is been so impressive, but at some point Miles have to catch up with him, I think, right? And I think that volume 8 to me has been doing it easier, has obviously been facing easier, but I just think he could take the step forward here and get the job done. I thought that he looked incredible last time. He was under wraps, does it easy. He's probably going to take more support than Celebrity Bambino, but I do think those miles will catch up to that one, and that's why I agree with Garner that if you're gonna go with them, you can't really play them together. You've got to try to split them. For me, it's volume 8. I don't mind upstaged. I like Kilmister. He's probably going to take support as well, but I do lean heavily in the direction of volume 8. That's actually a spot that I'll likely take a stand and single him over Celebrity Bambino.
I just have one question. I mean, he was beating Purple Lord pretty much every week, and then last week Purple Lord looked like I don't know, like he was purple at the 8th pole. So I mean, I'm just making an observation.
Yeah, I understand. I just, like I said, I think you've got a horse that's obviously been good. I thought even took a huge step forward last time, and another one that again, Celebrity Bambino's been going tougher miles. He's been racing with more frequency. Young horses, to me, at this point of the year, it starts to catch up with them, right? And I want to go to the ones that might be a bit fresher. I think that's volume 8. Not that that's creative at all, because he's probably going to be the favorite.
Purple Lord also is a one-dimensional type. It's tough to evaluate how classy he is when he's a horse that always likes to sit a pocket, and then he has to come from off the speed while everyone else can kick home in 27. If you might be able to argue that that's a class disparity, but if anything, and in these races more often than not, we're looking at the trip over how classy a horse is. And volume 8's coming off of the much more impressive set of races than Celebrity Bambino, especially since Celebrity Bambino almost lost to Kimmerington because he got lost. He's still a little green. Granted, with every race, he's going to learn a bit more and improve a bit more. But as it stands right now, and at least how I'm looking at it, I'm agreeing with the consensus here that you probably would want to stick slim and then kind of fatten in some of the higher underneath spots, like trying to find an upstaged for second, or even if Te Amo Lindy gets there, I don't know. Just if you really want to milk value out of it, you got to just try and not necessarily the dartboard scenario, but be a bit creative and just try and mathematically figure out what pays well.
I don't even know what we just listened to. The other note on Purple Lord is...
this is why you bet 3 to 5 shots, Ed.
David Miller's choice was upstage over Purple Lord. Take another drive choice. All right, Ray, we're already going to the clock. You got 30 seconds for whatever else you want in this race, and then
I
we're
think
going to
he's
Derek.
said enough. I'd go to Derek instead.
Moving on. So, Ray,
I don't have anything else to say anyway.
You got 30 seconds max. Your clock starts now.
Oh, okay. Well, since I have nothing else to say, I might as well talk about Harness Land, which is the great show presented by Horse Racing Nation.
Never mind. The clock's expired.
How was 30 seconds that short?
AJ might have to find the mute button
Did
somewhere.
gravity shrink? Whatever.
He's going to light the torch.
Derick Giwner, what do you think here?
Clearly, we're all overpaid and Ray is underpaid because he does most of the talking. The way I see it is, I like Celebrity Bambino before most people even knew who Celebrity Bambino was. That being said, Volume 8 is a complete lock in this race if he behaves. He's going to destroy these horses. I saw everything I needed to see last week. He was well in hand and almost set a track record. I mean, I don't see how you can go past volume 8. Everyone's trying to look for, ways to, finagle with the race so they can get more value out of it. Forget the value. Play volume 8 of a Celebrity Bambino. It'll pay $8. Your $20 exacta gets you 80. 4 times your money. What's wrong with that?
If it loses.
But it won't lose.
Oh, okay. I missed
I'm putting it in as my 4-star lock of the night. Come on.
Dakota Jackson in the comments saying he's going back to drive with us in the Big M this winter in GSY Series. So Dakota will look forward to seeing you there then. Yes, and Dakota's mentioning my lovely babysitter role between Ray and Mike. Yep, that's going to, I guess, continue as we go. Oh, let's see. Handicapping-wise, Zach's going to go volume 8, Kemmeridgian as a long shot pick. Dakota Jackson's going to go Killmister. There's one we haven't talked about a whole lot here. What about Killmister in the spot? Mike, any thoughts to add there?
I mean, he's a very good horse. He just has taken a lot of time off. He's had one race since October the 7th. And that was the Breeders' Crown, and then he's had a qualifier. Can he win? I mean, I guess it's possible. He went 52-3 at Lexington. He was awesome here on Hambo Day. I think he has a chance. He's going to be overlaid. He's going to get lost on the board for sure.
I don't want to cut Mike off, but I will say that I fear Killmister. With obviously I'm picking volume 8. I feel Killmister more than I fear Celebrity Bambino on the win end.
I throw Killmister in for third. I went 9-2-7-6 in here. Kemmeridgian also the price play that I will try to use in here. JD is going with Celebrity Bambino, and if he wins, thinks he'll get the damn patch for 2-year-old Colt and Gelding Trotters. Lawrence says Harnessland deserves an Oscar. God, we hope not, because we have to listen to Ray enough say the Lou
it wouldn't be eligible.
How many times do you have to listen to Ray say the Lou Barris Breakthrough Award winner, the youngest winner ever, blah, blah, blah. We don't need Ray getting an Oscar.
And then he didn't go get his award.
It would have to be an Emmy, first and foremost. I would not be eligible for an Academy Award. We do not break the 40-minute threshold, nor count as a short.
Race 6 starts the early pick 4. Oh, God, this is another race we got to listen to Ray. Oh, this is another 30-second clock, Ray. Race 6. It's the first TVG final. It's the TVG Mares Trot for $140,000. Early pick 4 starts $50,000, rather $75,000 guaranteed pool with a low 15% takeout. Select field of 6. Those inside 3 are going to take all the action here. Ray, you have 1 minute max.
I don't get the hostility. I do my best to provide 3 hours of substance in the course of 2 minutes. You understand? The Greeks had to try and encapsulate 10,000 years in like a week.
10 seconds.
If you have been listening to anything we've been doing the last 6 months and you think Bella Bolini loses this race, I fear you may need a head injury to refigure out how to handicap. This is such an obvious pick and an obvious bet. I was even surprised how well she raced in a preferred. She's usually a big money horse, and she was incredible last week. Now she's in against her own kind. I mean, sure, Atlanta's retiring, but she's retiring a loser.
Wow. And Ray returns 13-second balance. You can use that for the next race. There you go. You got 13 extra seconds.
Oh, thank you, gracious master.
I should mention this is Atlanta's retirement race. So if you are with us on track, 2 retirement ceremonies coming up after the races on this Saturday evening. So after race 6, we'll have a retirement ceremony in the winner's circle for the great Atlanta. She retires. She is, as it stands going into Saturday, 37 wins from 77 lifetime starts, over $3.5 million in lifetime earnings as she makes her last career start. Garnet, could she get it done here?
Could she? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think poor Atlanta, look at her record. 37 wins, 21 seconds, 58 times in the exactor, 77 starts, 3.5 million. Unfortunately, poor Atlanta has to meet up with Bella Bolini again. And in a 6-horse field where traffic probably isn't going to be an issue, I tried to beat Bella Bolini in the Breeders' Crown and looked like a fool. But I got Ray some nice pictures at the wire. And no, I don't think Atlanta gets the job done here. I think Bella Bolini is a single.
Mike?
Agree. There's really no point in trying to fight it. She'll probably be 2-5 and win.
Robert?
Yeah. I remember after the Breeders' Crown, I said something like Ray was right. She could have won from the moon. Someone came back at me on Twitter. Oh, give me a break. Perfect Trip. No, she was an acre the best on that occasion. She'll probably do the same in this spot, and it even helps her chances of short field. So, yeah, Bella Bellini to me does not lose against this group in this spot, and she's done it all year. She's going to do it again.
Well, Derick, I know from listening in to you and Matt Rose a little bit this afternoon on DRF YouTube channel, you do include Atlanta here. So you think she has a chance?
I think she has a chance because I think there's a reasonable thought where you can say that she's going to come away in the pocket behind One Dove's Cry. And I think she's proven throughout her career when she's behind cover, whether it's in the pocket or second over, she could be very, very, very dangerous. And I think Bella Bellini is going to be first over. So if Atlanta does wind up in the pocket and Bella Bellini does wind up first over, I think it gives Atlanta a chance to win the race. Do I think she's as good as Bella Bellini right now? No. But I think she has a chance to win.
Now, Garnet, what about the third head of this three-pronged attack, When Doves Cry? You know, she took a lot of action in that Breeders' Crown, too. Does anyone give her a look here, or is it really Bella Bellini versus Atlanta here?
You know, if you told me she was going to be riding the pocket, I might consider her the same way Derick does. I think she's had some really, really sharp miles when she's been in the pocket, but I don't know, man. I don't think Bella Bellini loses even if she goes first up, and I'm not convinced that Dexter Dunn's not going to make a move on the backside to go to the front in this race either. I think that's very possible in a 6-horse field. No, understanding, you know, what he's driving right now. He gave her a perfect tightener last week, just kind of lifted the lines halfway down the stretch to make it look good, I thought. But, you know, she's just so good right now. And I'm not sure. I think she's going to be in front turning for home, no matter what trip she gets, and she's going to be very hard to beat.
Big track helps her a lot.
Yeah.
Her on the big track, I think the smaller track, you saw how vulnerable she was against these horses, but this is not what that is. So that makes a big difference.
Correct.
JD will go Bella Bellini. Dakota will go When Doves Cry. Joey Tybalt joining the conversation now. He'll go Bella Bellini. Mark Anderson, tough race to play. Pulling for Atlanta, however. I think that's how probably a lot of us feel. And Zach will go Bella Bellini as well. Ray, I'm telling you, lock of the night is Atlanta. It's a 2-1-3-4, right, Ray?
Well, it's not those numbers either because you got to include Sorella in the third and fourth spots. She's such a sneaky underneath horse. Don't discount Sorella.
This was my one chance in the program comments to go 1-2-3-4. So it's 1-2-3-4 for me. Bella Bellini, Atlanta, When Doves Cry. Wes Lindquist, the lock of the week last week at 3-5 on the Meadowlands broadcast feed. Race 7 we flip to next. Second leg of this early pick 4. It is the 3 Diamonds final for the 2-year-old filly pacers. Ray, we got any info on 3 Diamonds?
Yeah, she was also a pacing filly. I think Garnsdale would have been alive for her. Were you alive for her, Garnsdale?
I probably was, yes. I believe I was. I've been alive for a lot of stuff, apparently.
So, Garnsdale, can you tell Ed about 3 Diamonds? Because I know about her, but I figure I've been talking way too much this evening.
I've grown too old to have much of a memory about 3 Diamonds. Derick's a bit more of a...
Oh, Derick, can you tell us about 3 Diamonds? Because Garnsdale's too old, and I've been talking way too much. But I know about 3 Diamonds.
I think if you take away 2 diamonds, that's what I gave to my wife.
Okay, so Ed, Derick gave his wife a diamond. Garnsdale's old, and I know everything about 3 Diamonds.
Well, Ray, okay, fine. Then we'll skip that one. Can you tell us about Governor's Cup?
Governor's Cup was, I think, the most impressive horse to ever exist. And I'll just leave it at that. That's one where you have to find the bread in the pudding. Research yourself.
All right, well, 2-year-old filly pacers here, 3 Diamonds final. And, you know, this one here is an interesting race for me just because I was curious to hear from the morning line perspective what people thought. And Derick and Matt Rose had a nice little discussion on this earlier. Bellissima favorite, Strong Poison second choice. Matt really thought Strong Poison would be the favorite. Bellissima pretty convinced for Derick to be the favorite. Robert, we'll go to you. What do you think the favorite is? But more importantly, who do you like in the race?
I like Strong Poison. I think that to me, it's probably a toss-up. I'm hoping Strong Poison's a better price, but I highly doubt it, actually. She probably takes the more support between those two. I thought that she raced well last time. It came from out of it. I think that obviously the chips are down in this spot, and she raced well in the Breeders' Crown against, to me, Sylvia Hanover and Charleston are 2 horses that I would be more than happy to back in here. So it's Strong Poison for me. I thought Bellissima Hanover, obviously, 1-2 in a row. Last time, you can't really get a better trip scenario, the way it all kind of panned out for her. And Zanata last time was one that I bet last time at 14-1. Thought that she had a reason to improve in that spot, and maybe can hang with these, but underneath play for me. Strong Poison though is going to be my my clear choice on top in here.
Mike, what are your thoughts on morning line and betting the race?
I do think the morning line is probably incorrect. I think Strong Poison will definitely be the favorite in the race, especially coming off that 10 hole, that 26 kick. The fact that, the horse was 6-1 in the Breeders' Crown. That horse is going to take more money than the one, but I prefer the one as far as the win. I really liked that race last time. Really had no business. I didn't think coming back and beating, that horse, but got up the rail and was able to win. It was 5-1 there, left off the gate, got a trip, and found a way. I feel like she's getting very good right now at the right time. It's going to be difficult to beat Strong Poison. I do think that horse is also very good. I like that horse in the Breeders' Crown, and Zanata was excellent last week. I mean, how can you really argue with that horse? I mean, that horse raced very well, even though it was 14-1. That was a crush job. I mean, there was a no doubt that she was winning that race the whole way around. So it's the inside three. I think it's whoever gets the best trip of those three probably wins the race.
Ray Cotolo, it feels like you might go to Earth, Wind, Fire, or you're going to give us some price outside the top two, right?
I know I don't like Earth, Wind, Fire, but that said, I do feel any horse can win this race. It's much more wide open than it might seem.
Well, give us a price, then.
Well, is this what I've been doing to you? I'm so sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
So I can't really like Sonata that much because I've watched this horse in all 11 of her starts, and the only 2 races she's won the same way. And that's been getting into the pocket and just bouncing out. Can she do that here? Maybe. But in my mind, I feel like this could be a race where there's a decent amount of shuffling, or or a lot of horses go to the front, and she might not be able to land in the spot she needs to. So Zanata in that way is kind of a toss for me. I liked Bellissima in the Breeders' Crown. I remember we were all talking about who's going to leave, and then I quietly said, "Well, the 9's going to leave," and then she did, but then she just was, shuffled back, put in a tough spot, and then finally got a race where she could race and win. She caught a battle-weary Charleston, got up by a neck. Bellissima's always been good this season, and so I feel like logically between those two, I lean Bellissima instead of Strong Poison. Strong Poison's incredibly obvious to take, and maybe Strong Poison wins. I don't care, but I'm not discounting Proud Mary. I'm not discounting Late for Dinner. Cultured should never be on the lead. That horse clearly gets lost, and I bet Scott was just trying to teach her something. So this time around, maybe she tries and gets the trip that she always races well off, which is having some kind of target to go to. Honestly, if I was playing multis, I would be trying to key out Strong Poison and just try and milk some of these other prices, because it seems like that kind of race where something weird is going to happen.
Garnet?
I kind of don't agree with Ray here. I think it's I'm not taking a big stand here. I'm going to use the 1 and 3 in my pick 4. I like Strong Poison a little better. I think from the 10 hole, that's a perfect tightener really last week. Out most of the way, closed off some cover that probably wasn't very good. I might try to sneak a couple of these horses into the Super. Late for Dinner, who came home in 25 and 4. Hungry for Love. They might, there's a little bit of battling. These horses might pick up the pieces. 3 Diamonds, by the way, if she was alive, would be 43 years old today. I can't get any racing lines from her stats, but I can tell you she won 25 of 31 starts with 1 second, 2/3, and $735,000 earned in the early 80s, which is a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Derick, we go to you last here. And Derick, I know you had that discussion with Matt over this line earlier today. You were convinced Bellissima favorite. You still thinking that way, or maybe switch now?
Listen to everyone talk. I'm starting to think that I'm wrong and that Strong Poison's going to be the favorite. If they're close in the wagering, 9-5, 8-5 kind of close, I much prefer Strong Poison. If they're further away in the wagering, like 6-5, 5-2, I think you'd be a fool not to go with Bellissima. That being said, I like Hungry for Love a little bit here too. I think that's the name of the horse. I'm not looking at past performances. I'm going everything off memory. But this horse is just as fast as any of these horses. Has a 50 mark at the Red Mile. Was racing well there. Has shown some decent efforts from on or off the pace. I don't see any reason why she can't be involved in this race at a pretty nice price.
She'll be 60 plus.
Yeah,
I agree with Derick.
I think the more we talk about it, and it's not always this simple, but I think the other hint is, let's go to the Breeders' Crown Final. Strong Poison 6-1 in there, Bellissima 46-1. Yeah, I'm going to say Strong Poison probably is post-time favorite on Saturday night, but also is my top choice here, which may have also been a hint, I guess, to myself. So 3-1, 10-7 for me. I'll give a little bit of love to Earth, Wind, Fire. Look, the last two have been pretty tough, but I mean, come on, we were all oohing and eyeing over them over on Caesar's Trotting Night when we were watching that. Mike, you and I were up at 10 National together that night. That was a good effort. I mean, come on. Post 10 to work from, but this is one to throw in there for the exotics and the number here.
What kind of trip does she get in the race, though?
Well, that's the tricky part. Hopefully, it'll work from there, I guess. I don't know. That's a great question. That probably is the biggest difficulty for her is the fact that she hasn't necessarily gut raced that well off the pace. But you know what? The effort at my place at Freehold back in early October, where she was fourth there post 7, that day she seemed to settle pretty well. I know she was 1-5. I know she didn't beat a whole lot, but at the very least, she proved the ability to get a mid-pack position and work into a race. So that's hopefully at the best what she's looking at. I don't think she's going to be 10th early, hopefully. So, I don't know, 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there and try to work something out to pick up a 3rd or 4th place jack and call it a day.
Toss.
It's always good to take freehold chippers that have done well there in the 10-hole in $400,000 stakes races. I mean, I usually do that.
I think Andy Beyer wrote about that now that I think about it.
At the very least,
I think you're being a little facetious there, aren't you, Mike? Just a tinge.
I feel like there's a lot of venom on this pod tonight. Like, I don't know.
It's
Ray's
great.
Fired up now.
I know.
Dakota says Bellissimas can't lose. Oh, Mark says it's a good betting race. Now, that is the thing to say about this race, regardless of who is favorite. This is for sure one of these 8 championship races where we're, I believe, not going to see an odds-on choice by any stretch. Maybe 6-5 at the best, 7-5, but at the very least, this one for sure does not have a short price favorite by any stretch. Hey, there's Zach on Earth, Wind, Fire from Post 10. See, someone else is on that bandwagon. John Rowell, speaking of Post 10, John Rowell does point out, by the way, if you watch that replay, Strong Poison parked the mile from Post 10 last week and still pacing home strongly. So that's a big note as well here, which probably is all the more reason. She probably is favored here post time. I'll concede that now. She just looked fantastic in that limb. Tough to think she won't be the chalk. If she isn't, I'll take it, says John. Yeah, John, I'm thinking she will be chalk. We'll go that route. JD is going with Strong Poison, and we will go to race 8 next, and that is the TVG Open Trot. Ray Cotolo, Ecurie D, Dexter Dunn, 7-5 morning line favorite. Another notch in the belt for Ecurie DDK on the track where he set a world record earlier this year.
He didn't look good last week. I saw him step onto the track, and he looked like he wanted to trip, and he did it multiple times. But then he kind of gathered himself, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And then he had to quicken, and he was just even coming home. That said, I do have to applaud Mike. He was spot on in taking its academic in that spot. Textbook class move in terms of a betting play. I thought it wouldn't matter. Mike clearly has the money to prove it did. This time around, Ecurie's a horse at this point. I have to see how he looks. If he's stepping out there and you see like him kind of high stepping and he's smoothly moving within himself, he's a lock. No one can beat him. If he comes out like he did last week, where his entire body is gelatinous and he's kind of just pulsating over the ground, I want to try and beat him. And that said, its academic is not that big a long shot. This horse has always been racing well. Of course, now he exits the class he's most comfortable in and goes back against the big boys, which he's still raced well against. He has seconds, thirds, fourths all season long against this group.
He faced close to precious Bella Bellini last time. How much more class do you want?
And I think that was what it did it for me. I said, this horse beat Bella Bellini. I need to etch this horse into the walls of my house. This horse needs some kind of permanence. I have to create a scripture for this horse and preach it to everyone the same way I do Bella Bellini. But he might be okay price. I'm not tossing Amigo Volo completely. I was stunned that horse finished third in the Breeders' Crown. He's been completely sneaky this whole season. I don't know why he dodged all the big dances, but he clearly fits this group in some capacity, at least if you're looking in the exotic spots, as well as Incommunicado. I remember Incommunicado was in like numbers at 10,000 just trying to get a win, and he finally did, and then all of a sudden he uncorks a massive race last time out. I don't know if he's back. Loved by the Masses has always been good, but he's making his first start back. Jujubee is kind of a toss for me this time around. I gave him every chance, and he's done nothing. $100 Bill's kind of a toss for me in this spot. Back of the neck was not good in the Breeders' Crown. So all of this said, I'm watching how Eckery looks. If Eckery, when you see him, looks like how you imagine King Louis XV's horse would trot along the Palace of Versailles, and put him on top. But if he looks more like a wheelbarrow falling apart out of an Ace Hardware, try and beat him.
Kevin Plouch says the Open Trot's his favorite race of the weekend, and he also notes Ray's really trying to be careful with his words there, Ray. That was a really fancy way of saying if Eckery wins, I picked him, but if he loses, then I was right that he lost. That was really
and now's a great time for a little gambling education, though. I'll keep this brief. As much as I like horses, and everyone here on this panel can attest, when you see a horse and you go, oh, wait, this horse that I totally despised, who I thought was going to be 5-1, is 12-1? Hold on. I might have to look at this race again. Or vice versa. You see a horse you like is a price lower than you were anticipating. You'll sit back and you'll go, oh, maybe I'm not making a good decision here. Maybe I should rethink what I'm doing. Because, Ed, all gambling is dynamic. As much as I don't like Eckery as a horse, but I respect him as a horse, but I think he's vulnerable in a lot of spots. That does not deter me from betting him. Because if I look at him and I go, he's the one, in that moment, I have to go with it.
I'm sitting here in the car driving, listening to Ray, and thinking to myself, I'm clearly going to the wrong place. I should go to California because Ray will still be talking when I get there.
He said he was going to be brief, too. I'm never going to make it.
Oh, my
That was under a minute. What?
I never heard anyone talk so long. I never heard anyone talk so long and say so little.
Have you ever watched The Godfather and go, oh my God, I lived my entire life through this movie? That's 3 hours.
This all comes down to whether or not you actually know what you're looking at when you look at a horse come out on the track. You know, and I'm maybe you do, maybe you don't. I thought, to me, Eckery came out on the track. He looked very hot last week. You know, I don't know why he was. You know, he had an open bridle on. Usually that keeps him really calm. I think Eckery is a complete lock. 100%. If the other horse was my 5-star best bet, this is my 10-star best bet. Dexter Dunn's picking up the drive. Obviously, that's a huge plus. But what's interesting is last week they announced like 26 times that he was going with no shoes. He raced with shoes on last week. I was told that they tried to inform them that he had shoes on, and for whatever reason, it wasn't communicated properly. He will be racing with no shoes this week. He will be going down the road this week, and he will be getting a picture taken.
So, Derick, for our listeners out there, especially maybe our thoroughbred players, or even those of us that just track harness kind of loosely, maybe you have a little bit of insight in this. Honestly, you might even be teaching me something here. Can we talk a little bit about Eckery D? We saw how uncontrollable he was in that international trot, where he was just tearing away on the front end, albeit, mile and a quarter race, obviously a unique race. But then he got it all settled in Woodbine. I thought I heard something about the bridle in that race. Can you talk a little bit about equipment with Eckery?
Yeah, in the Yonkers trot, they changed the bridle. They closed them up, and he just didn't like it. He just flipped out. And different horses respond differently, to different, whether it's a completely closed bridle, whether it's a hood, whether it's a can't see back. And when they put I believe they had a can't see back on him. When they it's two like blinders on the sides of his eyes. And when they put that on him, he didn't particularly care for it, and he just went on this crazy speed mission. They took it off him in his next start, and he was much more relaxed and calm and did what he had to do. And he won. Obviously it helps to have Dexter Dunn in the bike, instead of Aki, but that being said, I would have bet him with Aki driving with the bridle change, and I think the shoes also play a big role. I mean, this horse, tends to race with no shoes, tends to race better without shoes on. Some horses do, some horses don't, and you can't do it every single start, and it depends on how the track condition as well.
So
That bridle change reminded me of Palace Malice putting blinkers on in the Kentucky Derby. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He cut a 45 half and stopped on a dime, came back, took the blinkers off, won the Belmont Stakes.
Galloped.
Yeah.
So
Longer race.
back to the comments. Lauren says, I think Ray should talk more, actually. I've also heard California is quite nice. Ray, how much are you paying her to say this?
I look. I mean, California would be great. I know Derick would be halfway to where he's going in a month
Burner
anyway.
Account. That has to be a Ray Burner account.
You, Ray, delete a couple comments, block a couple people from commenting. You know what's funny is that Derick and Mike and Ray, they're having this whole battle over here, and like all those cliches about Canadians are true. Robert and Garnet just look so uncomfortable in this fighting. They're just like totally staying out of this.
I'm just wondering if I'm ever going to make it to the craps table tonight, which is like just down the stairs here.
I can break out some dice and we can start having some fun in between, when these bozos are talking.
Garnet, Ecurie D, does he win here?
I think so. The whole. I mean, aside from everything else, it's about circumstance and intent, right? If you watched the race last week, which I did, Aki had designs for a split second about leaving. He did leave, and the 6-horse left right beside him. The two of them for the first few strides of the race were in front. And then Aki saw 3 other guys with the same idea on the inside. He abandoned ship, took a tour of the track, got the needed tightener that the horse had to have after being off since October 29th. Now you put Dexter in the bike. You're going to take the shoes off. I mean, listen, It's Academic was a great bet last week. I know Mike likes this horse, but I think he turns into a pumpkin this week because Ecurie D has much different intent. And look what happened to the Breeders' Crown. To look back to that race, if he brings that race to the track, the rest of them have no chance. So,
Mike, JD here in the comments saying It's Academic has the hot hand with 2 recent wins in the Meadowlands in the preferred trots. Mike, you liked this horse last week, and he did win the preferred 2 weeks in a row, beating Bellbellini, beating Ecurie D last week, but yet I made him 6-1 on the morning line. Can you talk a little bit to maybe our thoroughbred listeners out there or those new to handicapping harness racing, why this spot might be different for him this week than it was the last 2?
Well, it's going to be a different spot price-wise, and I feel like that this horse is getting good at the right time. Last week, he was in against some of the bigger horses. He was in against Ecurie D. He was in against Bella Bellini in that preferred. And a lot, those 2 horses, even though they were bet, were pointing to more this weekend than last weekend. So that made It's Academic a better bet, I felt, in that class last week because he's more a preferred horse. That's probably his best class. He doesn't really, can he beat these top ones? Yes, but he needs things to go his way perfectly for him to do it. And typically when he's in these big races, like if you look in the Breeders' Crown, he was 22-1 versus Ecurie D, who was the favorite. Last time he was 3-1 versus Ecurie D. Why? Because of, like Garnet said, intent, the conditions of the race, the fact that Ecurie had been off and was prepping. So, I mean, it's similar to thoroughbred racing. There's horses that prep all the time. And those were clearly a prep. My thing is I'm not getting off this horse because, for one, he's as sharp as he's been all year. He's proven at the top level, maybe not winning, but giving himself chances to win from difficult spots. Now you have a shorter field. You have, I feel like you have Ecurie, and then it's everybody else. He's probably the second best horse in the race, and he's got his confidence up. He's not going to get that front end trip now. He's going to need Ecurie to probably take some pressure, probably not be himself, flip out like he did in that Yonkers Trot, he was supposed to be pointing for that race all year long. Is it possible? Absolutely it is. And you're going to get 6-5 on Ecurie. So why not take the 5, 6, 7-1 on It's Academic? Because I think you might get 5. I would say you probably get 5. There's some other horses like Back of the Neck, Jujubee, that will still take money. I can't get off this horse now. Does he have a good a chance to win as he did last week? No. Is he as good a bet? No. But does he have a chance? Yeah, he does.
I sit with Mike on that.
Robert, closes out on this race.
Well, I learned a couple of things. First of all, looks like Ray's come around on Ecurie D, which is great. He's now thinking he's a very talented trotter because he did say he was awful and terrible and horrible for the sport.
Not
So that's
necessarily those.
right. But another thing I learned was the shoes. The shoes were on last time. Yikes! Because here's what I do speak frequently to sharp cappers. Some of the guys that I talk to on a daily basis, they were all singling It's Academic. Okay, that was the consensus. He's a single because it's a prep race, and 2 horses are going to take a lot of money, especially the multis. And at the end of the day, we're probably not going to see their absolute best. Shoe change happens. Good thing it happened after a lot of those multis, because that changed things for a lot of people. Now all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait a second. The shoes are off. Wow, he is going to be guns blazing. And I think Garnet was right. I mean, shoes on or not, he was trying to leave out of there like gangbusters, and then had to call an audible because everyone left inside of him. And I think the decision was, it's just not worth it this time around. So I think Accurate E jogs. I really do. With Dexter Dunn aboard in the Breeders' Crown, he looked like a different animal. If the shoes weren't off last time, they're going to come off this time. And on top of that, he looked like a freight train scoring down at Mohawk Park. If he looks like that on the track before this race, I think it's going to be an absolute crush job. I really do. I'm a big fan of his. Now Ray is too. That's great. I'm happy that we're united on that. And for me, to be honest, I'm going to go to his stablemate Back of the Neck. As bad as he was in the Breeders' Crown, I think it's a rebound spot, and I think he might be the value in this spot. I really do. I think that he's going to be one that gets overlooked because it was so bad last time, and his efforts before that were all fantastic. And to me, I think if you're on the It's Academic bandwagon, you cash last time in a real favorable scenario, but everything's situational here. I think he gets a piece of it. I don't think he gets a lion's share, though.
What if Hector doesn't fire? What do you think?
If he doesn't fire, he's going to fire. I mean,
there is a possibility that he doesn't. So that's the question I'm asking.
Hey, Mike,
right. If he doesn't.
When doesn't he fire, Mike? Because I think, personally, I think a big key on It's Academic is where he lands early. So are you implying Accurate D blows up early and It's Academic may very well end up on the lead, or is it later on?
Listen, Accurate D has quirks. He has quirks.
I'm saying if It's Academic doesn't end up on the lead, that's where I think the race. That's where I think his chances are gone. That's why I don't even have him in my top 4.
My question to Robert is what happens? And I know you like Edgar, that's fine. But if he doesn't fire, don't his chances go up exponentially?
I think they go up. I mean, I don't know if I'd say exponentially, because my thing is with him is he's an opportunistic horse, right? He wins the preferred in his last 2. Last time beats bigger name horses, provides a better price, but does so in a scenario where, you know what, we're going to get the money this week because they've got bigger fish to fry next week. Yeah, he's in this spot too, but he's not the type that's going to go out there, and I don't think he can be first or second in this race. I don't.
Now, let me ask you a question. Okay, he was 22-1 in the Breeders' Crown. He couldn't have got a worse trip or setup, and he still ended up placed 3rd in the race, and he raced huge in that race in a bigger field against better horses. So if I liked him there,
some of the same horses.
Basically,
my issue. Listen, I like It's Academic. I just want to throw my 2 cents in here. That I like It's Academic as a horse. He's been racing great. My issue is where he drew this particular time, because I think there's a reasonable chance that he's going to be taken off the gate this week and not leave and have to close from the back of the pack, which I think drastically decreases his chances of passing all these horses. I think the other 2 times he was able to draw inside, he was close to the pace, he was able to be able to put in position. If he would have drawn post 2 or post 3 and he could have left and set a pocket to Akiri, then I would have increased his chances a lot. But that being said, he has a chance in this race. I just don't love him because of the post.
Yeah, I think he gets a big piece of it. I mean, a big piece. I think he probably finishes 3rd or 4th. I have a hard time putting him ahead of some of the others in here because, again, I think that sometimes, we look at a horse and say, okay, yeah, he's won 2 in a row. Yeah, he's in fantastic form, no question about it. But it's also situational, right? Yeah, he raced well against some of these in previous efforts. There's no doubt about that. But it's such a different race this time around. I mean, he's going to have to do a lot more work if he wants to go anywhere near the lead in this race. And if he doesn't, I think now he's not racing to his strong suit. So again, I don't hate him in here. I just think he's a smaller share type.
It's also worth noting that It's Academic has been faster off the gate than Equity D has been in the entire time he's been in the States.
Mike, we spent a lot of time on this race, but I just want to ask you one last question for move on. How about this is just a concept? So 22-1 in It's Academic in the Breeders' Crown Final, right? He wins these two preferreds, and now you're probably looking at 7 or 8-1. So I guess my question to you then is, do you feel you've learned enough about him from those two preferred wins when horses were prepping to take a third of the price you would have gotten in the Breeders' Crown?
Well, but I had him in the Breeders' Crown, and I had him in the Hoosier Park Caesars Trotting Classic, and at 20-1. I've had this horse in all of these races against these horses, and he's finally starting to win, getting back to the Meadowlands, getting better setups. But he's still sharp. He's still trying every week. He's proven that he can compete with these horses. Does he need things to go his way? Absolutely, he does. But you got 3-1 last week. I think you'll get at least double that. And it's hard if he comes running down the stretch and runs these all down, and I'm sitting there with no tickets. What am I going to do?
No, that's fair. You answered that question by saying that you were on him before just the last couple weeks. That's fair enough then.
Absolutely.
That's fair. I went 5. I also went for the Aki 1-2. I went through, where is this race? Wherever I've got it. It's 5-1 something here. 5-1, 3-4 for me. Juju B, I threw in for 3rd. Love by the Masters 4th. And before we turn the page, I guess I should be amiss to name some driver choices here for what it's worth. So, starting to circle way back, but race 4, Todd McCarthy took Heart on Fire over Yes Please. Yannick Gingras took Mambacita over Brunella. Nothing shocking there. Race 6, there were no driver choices. Race 5, David Miller, we discussed, took Upstage over Purple Lord. Maybe interesting to note off of the recent Purple Lord races we discussed last week. Race 7, it was Dexter Dunn taking Diamond and Pearls over Late for Dinner, who I know was one that Ray kind of mentioned in there. And here in race 8, a couple of them, Dexter Dunn, no shockers, Accurate D over $100 bill, and Todd McCarthy, Loved by the Masses over Amigo Volo. That one may be a little more interesting as we flip to race 9, and this one here gets pretty interesting as well. TVG Mares Pace Final for $158,000, a field of 10. And I think, as the morning line shows, there are 4 that will take a lot of money versus the rest. Test of Faith, Treacherous Dragon, Grace Hill, and Nikki Hill versus the other 6. Garnet will go to you here shortly, but first of all, I guess I should refer back to our comments here online. Mark saying you can't play the chalk here. That's still referring to Ecury. So, Mark, in that case, who would you play? Kevin is giving a shout out to Derick for the 10-star lock. He's definitely right. Joey saying Ecury also going to be mighty tough. John Rallis also pointing out that shoe change last week. And back of the neck, the price pick for Zach. Garnet, race 9. The 3-year-olds taking on the olders here. How do you interpret it all?
This is pretty good. Look, every time I see Test of Faith in a race, I think she can't lose. And she's managed to lose 7 times out of 18, which is a fairly high number for a mare who always looks like she should win. So, being that I went pretty light earlier in this, I'm going to throw the 2 3-year-olds into Treacherous Dragon and Nikki Hill. I don't like them as much, but maybe if one of them gets a trip, they could potentially get the job done. I just, at this point, as much as I want to love Test of Faith, I don't really trust that she's going to get the winning trip necessarily. I'm not sure why. I just don't. And the other thing is, like I said, because I went so low, I don't want to put a pick 4 ticket in with 3 combinations and just hammer it till there's no tomorrow. I think there's potential for upsets with so many good horses in a lot of these fields. So I might be going a little bit deep here, but that's the way I went.
The thing though with Test of Faith is the only time you're trying to beat her, and the only time you can beat her is you're betting based on Dave Miller being overconfident. He was super overconfident in that Breeders' Crown Final, and that cost him.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's partly that, but partly also the treacherous rail post is very hard to leave from at Mohawk, and I think he was in a bad spot right from the get-go. And probably he should have started moving earlier. That was his mistake. You can't sit 6th by 8th at the half and expect you're just going to circle everybody in a race like that. But yeah, it is that, Ray. Absolutely.
And this time around, she doesn't have the detriment of the slanted inside post that Mohawk has. She can get into a position she needs to. I'm almost certain Dave Miller won't make that mistake again. Because keep in mind, The race I think of when I think of Test of Faith losing is the race against Michaela back in the summer, where Michaela got the lead, did the little loop-de-round, the exact same thing Grace Hill did, and Test of Faith still came home in 24-4 because Dave knew he has loads of horse. He went, I can do it anyway, and then he couldn't do it because he got one-upped in a surprising situation. Now he's in against 2 3-year-olds who are not as fast as Test of Faith, period. Like they cannot go as fast as her, whether in the final quarter, in the overall mile. Nikki Hill, maybe, depending on how sharp she is. And she is sharp right now, but she's not of the same caliber as Test of Faith. Dave would have to make a royal oopsie to lose this race.
Well, Ray, the last time we were together in person at the Meadowlands was Hamiltonian Day. Didn't we kind of see a similar trip for her that day and whatever stakes it was that day on Hambo Day? Yeah,
was that the Dorothy Houghton Memorial? No, that was Lady Liberty.
She also finished second there, right? Kind of the same concept, or she's kind of a little too far back, maybe?
Well, it's that, and also I believe Todd McCarthy was sitting the pocket, and then he was just able to shake loose, so he got a good trip, and luck paved the way for him to, with his fresh legs, get out and just get by Test of Faith by only a neck. So Dave almost got bailed out by the horse in that way. And the only thing that caught him was just someone that came off guard from a better trip. And look, these are all decent pacing mares, and they'll probably find their own checks to cash in the blue chip matchmaker come April. But I don't know. There's not going to be a Cirque du Soleil like there was in the Breeders' Crown. Test of Faith is going to be able to do whatever she wants, catch whatever trip she wants. And I mean, if Dave has to go 3 wide midway around the final turn, that horse is going to collar everyone. It's just Dave has to move her at the proper time. He can't overly rely on the horse to carry him home. And he's confident in this horse too, because that Breeders' Crown win, he didn't ask her at all. She still won, and it was only a nose separating her and so much more. He knew he was going to win that.
Mike, is it that simple, or should we use some others in here?
I like the 3-year-olds. I do agree Test of Faith is the queen, but the 3-year-olds are really good right now. That Breeders' Crown race with Nikki Hill and Treacherous Dragon was a fantastic race, and Nikki Hill was great from the 10-hole that night. Just missed. I mean, really just got beat. Lost to, a Perfect Trip, Treacherous Dragon. Those two are really fast. They've proven that they can come home fast, and this is probably the last race for all of them this year. I don't know. I just think you're going to get a much better price on Nikki Hill. You got Dexter Dunn, and I do believe that she does like this racetrack. She has the talent to win this. You're going to get 4 times the price you are getting on Test of Faith, so I want to use her.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it too. I went 2-1-E-3, but I thought Nikki Hill would be interesting just because of those 4 favorite ones. She's for sure going to be the best price of the 4, so she could be worth it included in the spot. And when it comes to driver's choices, nothing too shocking in here. Yannick Gingras took Amazing Dream over Chase Lounge. Todd McCarthy taking, of course, Grace Hill over Gia Surreal, and Dexter Dunn taking Nikki Hill over Firestart Hanover. Robert, how did you see this race?
What price do we think Test of Faith's going to be in here?
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
3, 4, 5.
Got to be odds on, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate just going favorites, but I don't see Test of Faith losing. I mean, you could see it coming in the Breeders' Crown. I was watching my multi-leg tickets evaporate, watching that mile, because you could just see she was too far out of it, and the move just was not going to be in time. She missed by a head. I thought she was still raced fantastic in defeat. And I agree with what Ray and Garnet said. I think in this spot, we're just going to see her be able to get the better of this group. And on principle, I usually will just side with the older horses against the younger ones. I know we're late in the year. I get it, but there's still a big edge there. And Test of Faith, I mean, she to me is one of the greatest mares of all time. And these 3-year-olds have a lot to prove before I could put them in the same category as her and think they're going to beat her in a race. So I know she's going to be 3 to 5, but I think this time around it will not be anything close to the horrendous trip she got last time, and she crushes this group. But again, the price certainly won't be sexy. For second, I'll be going with Grace Hill. I mean, again, I'm going to stick with one of the age sources, and then I do think those 3-year-olds are very talented, probably underneath, but again, that just rounds out Chalky, Try, and Super.
Does it bother you that either one of them haven't raced since the Breeders' Crown? Does that bother you?
Does not bother me. No,
they both had qualities.
Not Test of Faith. Not her. I mean, she's got a qualifier under her belt, and that to me is good enough. I mean, horses like her, they're incredible champions, and they find a way to get there. And that's what I think we're going to see from her in here. Like the times that she's been beaten, there's usually been an asterisk. I mean, I'm looking at it. Garnet kind of brought it to my attention. I can't believe she's lost 7 times this year. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. But I remember most of them pretty well, and it usually comes as a result of the trip. Now, her racing style at times can put her in that position, but it won't happen in this spot. Not from post 2, not over this surface. And yeah, the rail spot at Mohawk Park is not so quietly now, but for a long time was quietly the new death spot at that track, right? So this time around it'll be different. But again, 3 to 5, it's not like
we need to get a Rawless update on this qualifier, the Test of Faith Treacherous Dragon, because he is the qualifier king. So I'm sure he's watching. So he needs to give us a little his assessment of who was better in that qualifier.
All right.
Well, Robert, I can tell you, I'll take the opposite angle from you. It seems like every time I've leaned on Test of Faith this year, she hasn't gotten the job done. So I'm amazed she's won 11 times this year. But Derick Giwner, hey, let's go to you for that, because I know you and Matt Rose talked a little bit about that qualifier. And more importantly, can you talk a little bit, especially to our newer harness folks listening out there or our thoroughbred players, can you really read anything into the fact that Treacherous Dragon beat these two in a qualifier? I mean, what even is a qualifier? How is it relevant to this race?
Well, qualifier is simply a race where they're just looking to get a kind of a preparatory mile into the horse. And it depends on the time of the season. In the beginning of the season, they're looking to get the horse sharp. Now they're looking to keep the horse fit. As to which horse was better, you know what? I think they all came out of the race looking good. You know, none of them looked bad in the race. They all did what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't give Treacherous Dragon any bit of a bump up because she won. She was sitting in the better trip. They went very slow, so she was in the right place at the right time to win. You know, if one of the other horses was a little bit closer, maybe they would have won. As far as this race goes, listen, I know she's going to be the favorite. I favor Test of Faith here. I think that she's going to be handled a lot more aggressively. I think you might even see David Miller let whoever going to go, and then and then make a quick brush to the front. It's worth noting that she's first-time Lasix. I'm not so sure why after 43 starts and off some really good efforts, she's adding Lasix, but it says on my program that she is using Lasix, so I'm going to go with that unless I'm using the proof. So unless they changed it after the proof,
nope,
I'm going on that.
Is correct. I was told that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
So also first-time Lasix for Firestart Hanover. I don't know that that's going to make it.
It's also last time Lasix.
Well, be that as it may, like I said, Test of Faith, this is her race to lose. Could she lose? Yes. I don't feel as strongly about her as I feel about some of the other horses I've spoken about earlier, but Grace Hill has a shot. I favor Nikki Hill over Treacherous Dragon by a slightest of margins, but either one, I guess, could step up. You know, even Gia Surreal, I mean, you know she's going to blast out of there. Why couldn't she be involved in the exotics somewhere?
Well, let's look there at race 9, that TVG Mares Pace Final. For me, I went 2-1-8-3. Again, nothing too exciting for me in there, as we will flip to race number 10, and that is the TVG Open Pace Final. $345,000 on the line. Final career start for Bulldog Hanover. Once again, for those on track, hang around the winner's circle after the race. There will be a retirement ceremony for Bulldog Hanover there in the winner's circle afterwards. And, well, Derick Giwner, I'm going to go to you first. And I got to ask, I mean, if Volume 8 is a 5-star lock and Accuracy is a 10-star lock, what is Bulldog Hanover?
Oh, did you ask me that?
If Derick is with us. Well, Derick's not with us. Ray, you can answer it. You probably got the answer.
I missed the question. Can you re-ask the question?
Do we have Derick with us there? Derick, do you hear that?
I can hear you. I actually had to step out of the car here and.
Oh. And what? Oh, is he okay? Do we have to call someone? Derick! Derick!
No,
Derick, how many
you
right
just went into my AirPod, I think. Can you hear me now?
Oh.
Yeah, we got you.
All right. See, I didn't hear what the question was, but I am on now.
Okay, Volume 8 is a 5-star lock. Accuracy is a 10-star lock. What is Bulldog Hanover?
100-star lock. This horse couldn't lose in a million years. He can't possibly lose this race.
What's the inflation rate in this star economy?
This is an extreme inflation rate, and quite frankly, There's a better chance of Ray picking, 0 winners, I guess. I don't know. Bulldog Hanover cannot lose this race. There's just no way.
There's a better chance of me picking 0. I've picked like 7 winners so far. That's impossible.
7 winners. On which card did you pick 7 winners?
On this one.
I don't believe that's the case. I believe your picking is somewhat off. And unless you pick Bulldog Hanover, and then you will have at least 1 winner.
Mike, I mean, let's be real. I guess I'm sure you got Bulldog on top, but talk a little bit underneath. Anything we could go to?
I would go to a bucket bet underneath. I like those last 2 races. The Crown Final was his best race in quite a while. Kicked 25-2 from an impossible spot. There was no way he was chasing down the top 3, but that was his best race since the summer. And then he's a Meadowlands lover. Qualifier was good, 50-4, 10-1 morning line. I think that he's definitely probably 3rd, 4th choice in the race. He has a big kick, and I think a lot are going to get tired chasing Bulldog. I feel like he's going to come up with one of his better races in a while. So I feel like he's value. I don't know what to do with Tattoo Artist off last week. I mean, oh man, that was it. He's 1-5, 1-9 against those preferred horses, and just really did not fire whatsoever. Even though he got to the front, he's probably better chasing. He's probably better off a helmet, but he's just so fast off the gate. He might land in the pocket and coast to second like he's done before. But give me a bucket bet, I think, underneath.
Robert, we've got people guessing in the comments. We got 47, 46, and 3. I'm assuming you're also not going against Bulldog. So how about a guess on the time?
God, time.
50-1.
Yeah, no. I mean, we can't get too crazy with time, can we? I mean, what's the weather supposed to be like?
It's going to be good weather for late November. I think we're looking at 40, 45 degrees that night, calm winds. And, to be fair, they did ask Jack Darling if 45-3 was possible. And, I mean, he said, let's see.
What, 45-3 degrees? That happens every year.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe 46 and change. Yeah, I don't know. I would even say that might be. And listen, Bulldog Hanover is, I mean, I love all the debates right now about greatest horse of all time. They're pretty interesting, and in the group chats a minute starts up and it's like it's such a silly argument, but for me, I mean, he's certainly up there, right? He's done things I've never seen any horse do, and I agree, he's an absolute lock in here. I mean, I can't believe it's actually place wagering, to be honest. Not that matters, but a little bit.
We have no show wagering though.
No show.
That's news to me. Okay.
No show, which is a smart move, I would think, but it won't matter. They'll come for the place pool anyways.
They can come for the win pool if they want it.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't really matter. Any souvenir tickets, actually? Should we be doing that? No? Like souvenir tickets on track with Bulldog's name? No?
I'm just glad I get to work in the back paddock Saturday night.
I need a plushie, though. I do need a plushie.
I also need a plushie.
I do too, so I'm getting one for myself first.
Oh, come on.
Come on, Edison, hook us up.
Yeah, what the heck, man? No, yeah, he can't lose. Horse of a lifetime. Been incredible seeing him. For a second, look at Tattoo Artist probably put forth his worst performance of the year last time. So what do you do with that, right? I actually was saying that he put together such a sneakily, incredible campaign. I mean, for a horse that has to chase Bulldog so many times, and he really has done enough where in some situations he might be a horse of the year candidate. Obviously this year, no chance with that, but I think that you got to look at that effort and say, ooh, I don't know, maybe we try to be underneath. So I agree with Mike on that one. A bucket bet Hanover is the one I'd be leaning on there. And this is the plan as a horse I've been using underneath in exotics all year, and it's worked out in many spots at big prices. So might as well try that one again as well.
When you say try that one, Rob, what are you implying?
Try that one?
You're saying specifically try?
Try, yeah. This is the plan.
Okay. I'm just making, because there's also TRY try, and I don't want to.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to try him as well.
Oh, but you're not going to put him on the try?
Oh, man. Yes, he's going to be on the try.
Okay, yes. Thank you for clearing.
We're going to try to put him on the try. Is that good?
It's much clearer. Thank you.
Okay, good.
All right, Ray, we got to get creative with the questions at this point. So how about this? Ron Burke has 5 entries in this race of the 8, and they're probably the 4th to the 8th longest prices on the board. But how about this? A Ron Burke entry in this race. Bulldog Hanover is still the favorite. Tattoo Artist is probably still second. Do you think Buckabet Hanover now? Buckabet Hanover is definitely probably longer price than the 5 Burke entries if they were one entry, right? Could they catch Tattoo Artist for second choice? All 5 combined?
Part of the appeal of
sure.
betting entries back in the day, is that you have multiple horses. So in that way, it wouldn't be as close as you think, Ed, because you have 5 real logical horses for the price of 1. And people would be betting purely for
that.
The
second choice?
In this hypothetical fairyland world that you're talking about of 5 Burke entries, is Tattoo Artist the second choice? Off that last race? Probably not.
Okay. Either way, what do you like in this race, Ray, besides, well, I guess Bulldog?
I think Mike's onto something with a Buckabet Hanover. This is a horse that's always been good and now gets a change of scenery. And if anything, that might be able to wake that horse up to do some kind of anything interesting. Then, well, I mean, he's been interesting all year. He's broke and come home in 24-3. How many times to not get a check? He's going to be a decent price potentially. Andrew Harris, a real capable guy. Good to see him back after what he's been through the last couple of years. And plus, it's to stray from the obvious of what everyone's probably going to be doing, which is they're going to be looking to someone like a Tattoo Artist. This is the plan, is probably going to get some looks. I have no idea how Luz Pearlman won last week, but I'm not using him in this spot. I really am ultimately curious how Working on a Mystery comes back from that Potomac pace. He tied up. Something went wrong there. He had that qualifier.
Working on a mystery?
Yeah.
Really? Working on a mystery?
This horse has been okay for most of the season.
I got the insight that you're looking for, Ray. AFib after the race, came back okay, into normal rhythm on his own, and based on that last qualifier, I think you're okay.
Yeah, see, I was even texting you after they went to the half. Oh, something went wrong. There's no way that that was just the horse. Now he's a horse that he can get in underneath, and honestly, there might be some value on him because he AFibbed in that last race, and he's lost by a combined 93 lengths.
Maybe he had surgery and he got a pacemaker before this race,
and he's a pacer. Oh my god,
I love
Mike,
that.
this is huge.
Does anyone think that Tattoo Artist may be a little bit better this week? You know, being in a stakes race versus being in the preferred, and maybe he'll be a little bit sharper.
He was winning Mohawk preferreds. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I have him second, Garnet or Derick, but I don't think we're getting to the top spot with him.
No, listen, I don't think anyone's beaten Bulldog Hanover, and I was actually a little happy because I like Luz Pearlman underneath, so Ray doesn't like him, so I'm in.
I don't know what to like about Luz Pearlman. I don't know what there is to like about Luz Pearlman.
Luz Pearlman has been coming around for weeks. If you look at those lines, you know he was good at Philadelphia, and then he was in tough company from an impossible spot in the Breeders' Crown. Actually raced pretty well if you watch the PP lines there, and then last time, granted he didn't race well, but you know what? There's fewer tough horses in this race, and this is I think last week was a good confidence booster, and I think that people don't give enough credit to how much confidence means to these horses. You know, they go out there, they win a race, and they're like, wow, I could do this. You know, I don't think people realize how important it is.
So, Garnet, how about this question for you? So, Bulldog Hanover went 4 for 6 as a 2-year-old, 10 for 15 last year, 13 for 15 coming into this race. 27 wins from 36 starts, $2.2 million. We saw Flightline go 6 for 6, and there was the great controversy of how much can we read into the greatest of all time, how great he was, because we only saw 6 starts out of him. Obviously, this is Bulldog's last career start, Garnet, so the fact that we won't see him anymore after this, do you think we've seen enough to be able to read into how great he was, or is there theoretically some world where you would have wanted to see more?
I think you can much more with him, just from some of these amazing performances this year, right? Like that 46-4 at the Breeders' Crown was very fast, 46-4. I mean, compared to maybe when you're racing at Lexington or the Meadowlands in the summer, I think he just had so many eye-popping performances. Flightline, I don't know, man. Like I got in some arguments with people. You know, I'm of the opinion that he would give Secretariat a race, but being that you only had 6 starts, you can't be considered the greatest of all time because you just don't have the body of work. On talent and on the eye tests, he's unbelievable. He's probably the best horse that I've seen since Go Sapper. But you got to do it more than 6 times, I think, and that's the main argument against him. Getting back to this race a little bit, Bucket Hanover goes for new connections here, right? Wasn't he bought for like $500 and some odd $1,000 after the Breeders' Crown?
Yep, correct. $534,000 purchase to Andrew Harris.
On one hand, if I had $5 for every time I heard somebody said he closed from an impossible spot, I could pay for this hotel room with that money. On the other hand, maybe he gets a different drive for new connections, right? So initially, I kind of didn't want him underneath because of the price. I don't want Tattoo Artist. I think maybe he's getting a little bit tired. I was leaning towards Loose Perlman for second because I think he won by a nose last week. I think his form, as Derick pointed out, his recent form is a little bit sneaky good, and he's probably going to be the 4th or 5th choice underneath for the exactor. So I'd probably go Bulldog Loose Perlman, hoping he gets a trip and kind of wiggles his way into second in the stretch. But I'm also curious to see what kind of drive and what kind of tactics Bucket Hanover is going to play here, because I'm not sure. I think this horse could probably leave if they want him to. If you got that much speed on the end of it, I think they can get some of that at the start of a race if they ask the horse to. So it'd be curious to see how he's driven.
Driver choice here, David Miller took the 1 Work on a Mystery over the 3 Southwind Gendry. 4-8-5-2 for me here, but I might just have to go 4-2. It's the classic Ray Cotolo doesn't like angle. Loose Perlman probably should be second in my picks instead of 4th.
Oh my God!
We get Derick Giwner on camera. Look at that.
Wow, he made it.
Go back to the comments really quickly. Oh, let's see. Gosh, I've missed out on quite a few here. Test of Faith. I saw there, Test of Faith, Bulldog Hanover, Bulldog in 47, Bulldog can't lose, 46-3, 46 flats, up 48. Oh, the world record's certainly not out of reach. How about that one? Weather fine, maybe the wind slight factory. I think it's pretty well on track. Joe says go Bills. Now, Garnet, Zach alternatively says the Bills are poster guys for choke artists. So there's that comment for you.
Wait, why are we saying Bills? It's Bulldog Hanover.
JD.
That's right. Bulldog Hanover.
Yeah. What?
JD would throw all of Burke's horses into the exotics under Bulldog. How about Mike Wandishin coming in the conversation with authority? Tattoo Artist is going to gain a share of vindication with the upset. There's a bold statement.
Hey, Mike's had a rough year. We just want to say, we hope you're getting better, Mike, honestly. Like, we're all rooting for you. Seriously.
Hey, most certainly. We're very appreciative to have Mike on a couple of the first over shows here. And, of course, we know we did some great work for you over there, Mike, with Nahu Picks. So we do wish Mike the absolute best. He continues to improve from his health. And JD saying Bulldog definitely in the same class with the likes of Nia Cross and Cam Fella. So, let's see. We're running along because Ray Cotolo as usual. So, we'll get to race 11 here quickly. We'll give out the pick 4 tickets. So race 11, last one, the Governor's Cup final for those 2-year-old Colt and Gelding Pacers. Ray already told us about how grand of a horse Governor's Cup was, so that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Driver choice here in race 11. It is Yannick Gingras taking the 3 Save America over the 8 Girl Dad and the 10 Musketeer Hanover. Andrew McCarthy goes 9 Dupree Hanover over the 7 Hungry Man. I go 5-6-3-2 here. I'll take El Rey on top after he disappointed me last week. I'll go back to him here again.
Wait, how did he disappoint you? A 2-year-old went 25-4 in the final quarter and missed by a length because horses were drifting into him. What's disappointing about that?
I wanted to win, Ray. I wanted my 7-2 money back.
Sometimes you can't win your races. And also, you betting a 7-2 shot, that was your first problem. You're only
going to get a better price here tonight and get the win. We got Derick on camera. So, Derick, let's go to you first this time.
I actually remembered when I looked and you picked El Rey last week, and I was thinking to myself, this horse has no shot to win this week. I don't know why he's picking him. And this week, I really like him. So I just think you were a week too early in a spot where you knew he was going to take back. You knew he was going to just try to close and get involved late. And he did. He closed really fast and raced really well. I don't know what happened with this horse. The light bulb just simply went on because this horse was going to be sold. He was in the Harrisburg mix sale, and they pulled him out because all of a sudden he just got much better. So I think I like him in this spot. I love the post for him in this spot because this is a post where he can kind of settle in and try to work out a second or third over trip. Obviously, third over not as nice as second over, but this is a very good field. I mean, there's a lot of horses to consider. Combustion raced very well last week, adding Lasix. Save America. Or another one, adding Lasix. Maybe Lasix is the difference. This horse was sitting a Perfect Trip. I thought he was going to blow by, and he just was completely empty. Maybe Lasix is what makes the difference and puts him over the top. Amo's a very good horse. Can't Stop Loose sold for $310,000 and on gate after that elimination effort where he was second. I mean, I don't really like him in this spot, but 310,000, I'm sure they're looking to get some money back. Storm Along was good. Girl Dad was pretty good last week. So I'm just saying that I wouldn't want a short price on any horse in this race. Even though I picked El Rey, I think you need 3-1, 7-2 or higher on any horse you like in this race. And obviously some of them are going to be much higher.
Mike?
I think that El Rey morning line's a little bit high. I think that a lot of people will see these past few races and those lines, and he's going to be shorter. Those 25-4s, 25-3 stick out. And I do think that he has a huge chance, but I'm not going to get off ammo, and I'm not going to get off horses that I've liked all year. And this horse was off a couple weeks. I liked him last week. I thought he raced really well. He got his trip. And I think he's going to get his trip again because he gets away from the gate and he lands in the pocket. I thought he raced really, really well coming off a couple-week layoff. He's only had 6 starts. He's a good horse, and he has speed at both ends of the mile. So now, what's the price going to be? I would think probably very similar to last week, between 2 and 3-1. I agree that it's a tough race, and he's going to need the best of it to get there. But I like the 4 and the 5. I think it's one of those two. Combustion's right there with those two, but I think things kind of went his way last week. He needs a trip, so 4, 5, 6 there.
Garnet?
I use 3, 4, 5, 6 in the pick 4, and I like El Rey on top, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I know when El Rey wins, Ray Cotolo is going to put a costume of a bullfighter on and adopt El Rey as his new Twitter handle. I'm convinced of that.
Jesus, Garza, you gave me whiplash from what you just said.
Ray?
I respect Mike and his newfound love with ammo. I certainly encourage you to follow your heart and your dreams even. But his issue is that sometimes there are just other horses that are faster than him. He is a good horse, but that was the issue I had with that last race. Was I was on horses like Combustion, El Rey, because they have a little bit more oomph. Combustion showed me that when he made that move to the 3/4 in the Breeders' Crown, he opened on the field, and he of course shortened because he's a 2-year-old. You got to give them the levity that maybe they might, get tired because their brain's acting up, or maybe they did overexert themselves. There's a lot of allowance to give these trips when looking at them, but he showed something there, and then he showed something beating ammo. El Rey showed something with how quickly he was coming home. I certainly wouldn't be leaving ammo out of the exotics. But that said, we're all on these 3 horses. They're going to probably be around the same price as they were in the elimination.
Whoever gets the best trip wins, probably.
Yeah, and Derick makes a great point. I totally missed that Save America's on Lasix because this horse has been so one-paced ever since that Metro loss that I've been fading completely. Now that I see that, that's a monkey wrench to how I think this race comes out. I'm not a big fan of Can't Stop Loose. Storm Along got an opportunistic trip. Hungry Man, I'm not really including. Girl Dad, I don't know where that 26-2 came from, but if he can repeat that, maybe he gets 3rd or 4th. And Dupree Hanover is the only other horse I'd be looking at for like the 3rd, 4th spots underneath. But this race looks fairly logical, at least on the top of the exotics. Underneath, I think there are certain horses you can leave out.
Robert?
I agree with almost all that, and what Garnet said too. He's using 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the pick 4. That's exactly what I have. I do think it's intriguing. Save America, Lasix for the first time. This horse obviously regressed in recent outings. We were ready to anoint this horse the greatest 2-year-old of the season earlier on, and got beaten the Metro. Since then, it's been downhill for him. But this could be where he kind of turns it around. I went with Combustion on top. I thought that the effort last time was very good. I was actually very impressed with his last couple of efforts. El Rey, I agree with Mike. He'll take a lot more support than the 6-1 because people love those 25 quarters, right? People get enamored with that kind of stuff with the horse closing into it, but it might be a similar scenario again for him. He might just fall short again. And, I think Combustion gets the edge. But for me, I'm using 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think any one of those 4 could win. So, in saying that, I'm probably to take the bigger price, which will likely be the 3 Save America.
What kind of price do you think Save America is? Because this horse has torched a ton of money his last 5 starts. So what kind of price do you think you get now?
Because the other 3, I think, are going to be somewhere in the range of 2-1 to 3-1. He's got to be 6 or 7-1, 8-1, I would think.
I guess.
Right? I mean, because money's can only go so many places, right? And ammo's got to take money. El Rey's going to definitely take money. And Combustion, is going to take money. So I think
I don't think he'd be that high. He's never been higher. He's not higher than 7-2, even off some of these bad races. But I wanted to mention something. Ray mentioned Monkey Wrench. There was an open pacer named Monkey Wrench. Which one of you experts can tell me what he's famous for? Maybe Rob.
Oh, I don't know.
Hey, Garnet,
Hey,
Garnet, let's sit on that for a little bit and see if anyone in the comments wants to give us something.
Yeah, let's
what's this Garneywood Hayden insight we're getting right now?
We'll come back to that, and we'll see if anyone comes up with something for us. But JD's going to go with Can't Stop Lou here. Joe's going back to that Goldsmith Made. Joe, if you rewind and watch the rest of this, we already discussed that one, of course. But Blonde Bombshell, Wild Jiggy, we did talk about both of them. Mark saying El Rey, his best bet of the night. And the takeaway from me on this race is that I personally never liked Storm Along at all, and I thought maybe take a little bit of money off that elimination win. Clearly not, based on what we've discussed. So, all right, let's get to some tickets here. JD is thanking us for the show, by the way, already, and happy Thanksgiving to all of us. Again, happy Thanksgiving to you as well, JD, and everyone else out there in the U.S. And for these Pick 4 tickets, races 6 through 9, a $75,000 guaranteed pool. That's the all-stakes Pick 4. Derick, let's start with you. Early Pick 4, how do we play it? And Derick, you are still muted.
No, this is part of the. What is he saying?
It's part of the experience. The mute. I'm just trying to protect you from listening to my kids in the background. That's why I have it muted.
Do they have something to say?
So trust me, they have plenty to say.
Camo.
You know, they're big fans of Edison and somewhat fans of Ray. I mean, you got a couple of chuckles in the car while we were driving.
I mean, half of that's a good choice. The other half, I really question insanity, but go on.
Anyway, Bella Bellini and Atlanta 1-2 in the opening leg. I think you could keep Bella Bellini, maybe play some extra tickets with Bella Bellini. Second leg, I go Bellissima Hanover, Strong Poison, and Hungry for Love. So that's 1, 3, and 8. Obviously, Hungry for Love is the price play in there. Race number 8, we go with Akiri D. I don't see how he loses. And race 9, I'm going with Test of Faith, and I'm going to use Grace Hill as well on some tickets there because I got to respect how well she's racing. So it's a $6 ticket, 1-2 with 138 with 5 with 2-5, but I will probably play also 1 with 138 with 5 with 2 a bunch of times, which is obviously a much cheaper ticket, and maybe we can hit it a lot of times.
Mike?
I'll start with Bella Bellini. I'll single her. 1, 2, 3 in race 7. Bellissima, Zanata, Strong Poison. I think it's got to be one of those 3. In the 8th race, it's academic. I will back up with Akiri D in case he decides he's going to race this week. And then I'm going to try to beat Test of Faith because I think that there's value in that. I'll take the 2 3-year-olds, Treacherous Dragon, Nikki Hill, and we'll use Grace Hill also because she's proven capable of winning against these horses too. So 1-5-7 to finish, or 1-5-8. I'm sorry to finish.
Garnet?
Bella Bellini 1 with 1-3. Bellissima Hanover, Strong Poison. I went 3 deep in the trot with Back of the Neck, Akiri D, and Academic, but I'll press heavily with Akiri D. And then in the last leg, I went 1-2-5-8, the 2 4-year-olds and the 2 3-year-olds, $24.
Ray Cotolo.
I'll most likely be cavemanning this, but the foundation is the same. Bella Bellini's a single. I'll just stick with the singles. Bella Bellini's a single. Test of Faith is a single on the bookends. In the second leg, that's where I'm spreading, taking Bellissima, Proud Mary, Late for Dinner, whoever the 6th is. I forget her name.
Cultured.
Taking Cultured, Hungry for Love, and Vivian's Dream. So I believe that's 6 horses. And then I'll be playing an A ticket with Ekkery singled, a B ticket with its academic singled.
Oh, I love it, Tim. I love it.
And then just singling Test of Faith in the last. Now, when I say that, I'd probably have like a higher min on the Ekkery D ticket and then a lower min on the It's Academic because It's Academic's odds are going to be good enough value where I can save myself money versus just doubling my ticket altogether.
Robert?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it cheap like I usually do. Bella Bellini, single, 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. Also going to be singling Strong Poison on some of my tickets. No question about that. Single as well. Ekkery D and Test of Faith. I mean, we'll just press that, I don't know, 100 times.
80 times? Oh,
see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll
probably get 25 for a buck with that scenario, I would think.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean, I'd take it.
24 to 1's not bad for that. Yeah.
I will spend $9 early, $9 late. 1-2 Bella Bellini and Atlanta. 1, 3, and 10. Bellissima Hanover, Strong Poison, and Earth, Wind, Fire. Ray Cotolo, you want to say it already? You can say I doubled the ticket cost for nothing.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll learn this principle one day when you stop asking why is he talking so much.
Hector E.T. is a single. And Will You Stretcher's Dragon, Test of Fate, and Nikki Hill. That is $9. All right, late pick 4 time. Races 10 through 13. We will quickly give out tickets there, including races 12 and 13. We didn't get a chance to discuss. So for race 12, that's a non-winners of $10,500 on the pace. And race 13, non-winners, $7,500 on the pace. Derick Giwner, pick 4 ticket for the late variety.
All right, pick 4 late variety. King Bulldog Hanover. I think everyone's basically good. If by some chance you think Bulldog Hanover is going to lose and you go against them, you're going to get a huge ticket. Race 11, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We just discussed that race, so I won't harp on that. Race number 12, I'm going to go 4 and 6, Mark with a K and King Trenton. I think both of them will be forwardly placed and look pretty good. It's interesting that Dave Miller took off King Trenton to go with Mark with a K, who's gone some big miles here. Race number 13, I'm 1, 3, and 10. I think the 1's probably the horse to beat dropping down. The 3's been really sharp. And the 10, Mind Trip, is a Meadowlands lover. This horse loves this track, does really well here. Obviously, post 10 isn't ideal, but he does have the speed to overcome it. I think it's $12 play.
That line, I think, is a little high there. Mike.
Race 10, I'll keep Bulldog. I think that's probably pretty obvious. 4, 5, 6, race number 11. We talked about those horses. Race 12, I'm a little different. I do like the 6, King Trenton. And then I'll use the 2 horses coming out of that Sonny Weaver race. The 7, Literal Lad Hanover, 8, Rockin' the Aces. I think those couple horses have had wide trips recently, and this is a drop for those horses. I'll use those. And then the last race, I'm going to go back to Truffle Dog, who gets Dexter done, and hopefully he actually tries. That'd be good. The 3, Let's Go to Brazil, made a massive move last time and then ended up getting picked off late. And then the 6, Revelry, Jen Bongiorno. This horse has had 2 starts against tougher, really has been 2 duds, but I think this is a better spot. So 2, 3, 6, the ticket's $27 for $1.
We'll throw mine out here because mine are going to include choices affecting Mike's against Mike's. Bulldog Hanover singled for me, and then 3, 5, 6 Save America, El Rey, and Combustion. 6, 8, 9 for me. King Trenton I liked. Rockin' Ace I like. PD the Big AZ I liked. But for David Miller, he had a choice there. He did take Mark with a K over King Trenton, so read into that as you so choose. And the final race, 1 and 3 there, same deal. Let's Go to Brazil. I use Control Heaven here. Truffle Dog, Tim Tetrick's choice. He is off. Dexter Dunn picks up Truffle Dog. Garnet.
5 Bulldog Hanover with 3, 4, 5, 6. Race 12, I'm going to a single, Rockin' the Aces. I think Rockin' the Aces wins this race on the class drop. He's a strong single for me, actually. And I'm going to go 4 deep in the last. 1, Control Heaven on the class drop. 2, Truffle Dog, similar. Let's Go to Brazil. Mike kind of detailed his strong race last week. And the 4th I'm going to use is a class jumper, the Bird Dance, who made a couple of moves at the slot to win last week, and will be a big price. And repeat winners, a lot of them came in on Saturday and paid huge prices. So I'm assuming those were also class jumpers in those cases.
I like the Bird Dance as a price play that last race. That race at Philly, coming off that long left, looked really solid. He backed up with a good Meadowlands race. So I think I threw him in for 3rd in there, so I can't blame you there. Ray?
All right, so just as a disclaimer, I handicapped the last 2 legs in the last 2 minutes. So I singled Bulldog Hanover, and then in the next leg, I'm 5, 6. Don't really see much straying from that contemporary line of thinking. Like 3, race 12. I take the 4, 5, and 8. Mark with a K. Hopefully Dave Miller learned his lesson to not be so aggressive with this horse 3 starts ago. And also, maybe this horse prefers the bigger track. Palomar coming back to the Meadowlands is a big angle. This horse always does well at the Meadowlands, but at the same time, he also loves to finish 2nd and 3rd. So that might be whatever. And I do agree with Barnsdale, Rockin' the Aces. He's always racing well. Now on the class drop against slightly weak, or I guess definitely weaker horses, he has no excuses to not win or be close. Last leg, I take Control Heaven on the class drop. Horse should be involved. Let's Go to Brazil is probably the real deal on the class hike. He's a real diamond I'm not leaving out. That horse always finds a way to be involved in some capacity. And 3 in Heaven I include just because that horse was so racy parading last week that in the off chance that he's kind of settled after 2 starts here in the States, he will probably be very good. So I don't know how much that costs. $12 for 50 cents.
All right, Robert, bring us home.
All right. Well, Bulldog obviously a single. Then the 3, 4, 5, and 6, as we discussed that race, look like the main players there. Race 12, 4, 6, and 8 for me. The 8 rocking the aces is my lean on top. And then in the last leg, I'm actually going to spread out there 1, 2, 3, 6, and 10. So that ticket is what, $30? Yeah, $30 for 50 cents. No.
All righty. Well,
yeah, it is that much. Wow.
We're on a couple minutes over our usual hour 30 we try to give ourselves, so I'll wrap it up here quickly. Let's see. NahooPicks.com. Check it out this weekend. We got all sorts of racing action there as usual. The DRF Harness newsletter just came out. You can check out that with a lot of good information in there, particularly this weekend. A lot of the races covered in there. Garnet Barnsdale taking the weekend off from the DRF Harness handicapping Wood by Mohawk Park. Mike Pribozie's got it this weekend. Garnet Barnsdale will be back in the future. Robert Reid Jr., as always, you can catch on the simulcast feed up there in Ontario on the race tracks up there. And you can also catch him at Wood by Mohawk in the Horse Players Journal. And Ray Cotolo's got Harness Land or something.
Don't forget Century Downs tomorrow night.
And I'm going to get there too.
Tomorrow night's the National Drivers Championship.
In the Money Media, check out several things here coming up. First things first, in the moneypodcast.com. You see the website there. You can visit it to check out Mike Pribozie, Ray Cotolo, Josh Murphy, the racing secretary out at Century Mile, and Murray Slough, the announcer out at Century Downs, discussing the National Driving Championship coming up tomorrow evening, Thanksgiving night, 8:15 p.m. here on the East Coast, 6:15 out there. And they have discussed all about the format of that card, as well as plenty of wagering opportunities on it. So you can check out that pod for information there. You can check out Ray Cotolo and I if you want to listen to more total Ray Cotolo, who knows what, tomorrow afternoon on Wood by Mohawk Racing for this weekend. Of course, this will be archived as a podcast as well if you want to re-listen to this lovely podcast for the TVG Finals and the Fall Final Four. We'll be back early next week with a recap show as well for these races to discuss what was right, what was wrong. We'll discuss with Ray Cotolo why AccuRD is a world champion and the horse of the year. And with that, I think we're good. Let's check comments one last time. For Mark, wishing everyone an awesome Thanksgiving weekend. Mark, you as well, of course. Mike Wandish saying, great job, gentlemen. Joey also saying, a happy Thanksgiving to American friends. Okay, Kevin. Kevin's got a question for you, Garnet. This is true. I've heard it both ways, too, recently. Garnet?
Yes.
Garnet or Garnet? We're going Garnet, correct?
It's Garnet, but all you Americans say Garnet, and it doesn't matter. It could be Garnsdale
there you go, Kevin.
too, you know.
It is Garnsdale.
And did anybody answer my question?
Oh, that's right. Hang on. We do not. So Mark says to you, Garnet, go Bill.
Oh, Monkey Wrench.
Nicole says lots of great info and opinions here, guys. They're very entertaining as well. Happy Thanksgiving, you all. And before we sign off, Garnet, tell us about Monkey Wrench.
Monkey Wrench finished second to Cam Fella in his final race.
There we go. There's the fact.
That was what we were waiting for.
Pretty much. On that note, racing fans, thank you as always for tuning in to us here. Again, we'll be back early next week with the recap show for these TVG Finals Fall Final Four. Until then, have a great Thanksgiving. Best of luck this weekend. Hope all your bets are winning ones, and we will talk to you next time on the round table.
Also, I'm at Rosecroft next week, so that's Thursday, December 1st, 7:15 post time. Eastern PM.
Gentlemen,
That was wild.
That was fun. I'm going to play craps. Good night.